Daylight come make me. All right, guys. I know I am live here, saying, "Hey, what is going on?" Having my head bobbing left to right. Hey, if you're checking this out, don't forget to check me out at twitter.com/Lore Reloaded, twitch.tv/Lore Reloaded. As always, I enjoy having these, and I am so glad that you guys are here. Hopefully, everything is set up appropriately. Did I make it? I made it public. Good. I did indeed, in fact, and in theory, make it public. So we'll give it a couple minutes for people to filter in for who wants to come in, see how intrigued you guys are, and we can just go from there, and then we just have a jolly old good time, But while we wait for all of that goodness to happen, today we're going to be talking about a interesting article I read that I think was kind of reflective of what was going on. What's going on, Phoenix? 1861, AGS 1031 in the house. Hidden Trail Video, always a pleasure. Justice Ag, good to see you again. I am glad we can start the party. Michael Weir up in the house. How you doing, good sir? Hope you're doing really well. And I don't know how long this one's going to go. My internet is acting kind of funny too. So if it ends soonish, I may have to check that. And then we can see if I can get it back up, or I may have to do it a little bit later, just depending. Hey, Laura, changed my name. What's up, Godspeed? What's going on, Death Be Told? So, let's go ahead and break into it a little bit. So, there was an interesting conversation with Jerry Ryan regarding Star Trek Picard. And it's one of those interesting things where the changes they make have certain consequences or certain inferences that I don't think they necessarily completely think about beforehand. And I'm not even necessarily saying this is a bad thing, but I am saying that based on what is said, I think that you can take some from that. What's going on, Alan? A little red pony in his house. Don't forget to hit that like button. 21 people watching, 3 likes. What's up with that? So, I'm going to be reading an article from redshirtsalwaysdie.com. That is an intriguing website name, good friends. And by D. Goodman. And we're going to be talking about something that Jerry Ryan has said, and I'd love to know your guys' opinion on it. So, beware the Federation groupthink. Of that, I agree. So, during the Star Trek panel at Star Trek Las Vegas, Jerry Ryan talked about returning to the role of Seven of Nine and trying to find her voice. Robert Brinkman in the house. One of the biggest shocks to come out of San Diego Comic-Con and the premiere of the new Star Trek Picard trailer was the appearance of Jerry Ryan as Seven of Nine. Just the fact that CBS was able to keep it secret for as long as they did is amazing enough. But Seven showing up in the trailer itself confronting Picard was outstanding. I don't know that she was confronting Picard, but okay, unless they have more information than I do. Part of what made the reveal so great was that it came completely out of left field. While everyone was anticipating appearances by former members of the cast of Star Trek The Next Generation, no one, and D. Goodman means no one, thought we'd see any one from any of the other shows, much less in the trailer. But that's exactly what fans got, and it has helped. But that's exactly what fans got, and it has helped make Picard must-watch television for just about any Star Trek fan out there. I disagree. Hold on, but it's getting to the good parts. What do you think will be the main villains in Picard? I think it's going to be probably a mix of Romulans and maybe Federation. Here we go. At the just completed Star Trek Las Vegas, Ryan took the stage with fellow Picard co-stars Jonathan Frakes and Jonathan Del Arco to talk about the series and returning to the world of Star Trek. Although as a Seven of Nine who is much changed since we last saw her. You can tell as soon as you realize it's Seven talking to Picard in the trailer that this is not the same character who was on Star Trek Voyager. It is, but yet it isn't. And that new voice, Seven has was one of the hardest things for Jerry Ryan to find as she prepared for the series, as reported by Trek Movie. All right, so we're about to get in it. For those who just joined, don't forget to hit that like button. What's going on, Bird of Prey? Andre and the Hizzy. Now, This is kind of what struck me, and this to me shows a perhaps a consistent, but a federation that I think Gene Roddenberry would have been absolutely against, or at least a change for the federation that Roddenberry would have been absolutely against. Here we go. This is Jerry Ryan talking. Jerry Ryan says, I was freaking out. She was a very specific character for 4 years on Voyager. There was a lot of growth and all of that. She went from being a machine to learning to be human, but particularly the way she moved and her voice, that was what I was really hung up on. Her voice didn't change that much in 4 years, so she had a stilted, very formal, very stylized way of speaking at the end of Voyager. So when I got the initial script, and from I knew from the original pitch with James a year and a half ago, she's not the same Seven. She is much more human. She's been on Earth for a long time. She has been through a lot. So when I saw the initial script, and as you saw, what the hell are you doing out here? It's a very, very different voice, and that's what's freaking me out. All right. First super chat of the day, Bird of Prey 5 helping out the channel. Thank you so much. You look way fresher in your last live video. Yeah, I've gotten more sleep, but I'm still tired. And I got a lot to do today. So I appreciate you you keeping up on my looks there. Yosef. Thanks for supporting the channel. It's what keeps it going. So let's talk about 7 of 9 for a second, or at least the actor. She finds this off too. Will the Romulans be fractured? We don't know. But assumedly, based on what we see and the destruction of their home planet, they are. All right. Here's the part that I think changes what the Federation is to a degree. This is Jerry Ryan continuing to talk. I was literally freaking out. I was bursting into tears. I don't know what her voice is. I can't find her. So Johnny came over and we had lunch and read the script for like an hour, and finally I was so freaked out I couldn't think clearly about it. He said after an hour, just try this. What if the Borg have always been hated? They are universally hated because they were bad guys. They were tough. But there's other elements in this world with the Borg. And what if she had to make the choice to be as human as possible to survive, to sound as human and act as human as possible? Clearly, she's always going to look like a former Borg because she has these implants that can't go away. So what if she had to make that choice, a conscious choice, to sound as human as possible? And that's all I needed. That's what I needed. I just needed something for it to make sense as an actor as to why she would have that huge of a chance. Huge of a chance, okay? Then it made sense to me. So in the Federation, she had to change. I find this interesting because of what it infers. There's a few things to this. First off, humanity was supposed to be more advanced. They were not supposed to have all of these baser elements that we had beforehand, including resentment or hate. And then, not only that, but you also have Picard, who is a former Borg. You also have multiple, I would assume, survivors from the attack, if not at Wolf 359, at the attack on in First Contact, the Battle of Sector 01. I believe it's called the Battle of Sector 01. Was it? Because it's going to bug me now. Star Trek Battle of Sector 001. So the Battle of Sector 001. So you have Borg who were assimilated. So she was taking all this hate. She was getting all of this resentment from, again, the Federation, which is supposed to be hopeful, not supposed to have that, and from a society that was already had Borg within their midst, or former Borg, right? I just think that it is an interesting perspective and reflection of the society. And what message does that stand to? And you know, I really wouldn't bemoan this part if it wasn't for the fact that they are so high in might. So The writers, the producers, the staff there are so high and mighty about their progressive ideals and how much better it would be if anyone who even had a little even inkling of conservatism is horrible. They're really big on that. And then they have this story where someone has to change in their utopian society. They can't be who they are. And it's interesting to me because it seems reflective of someone who comes from a culture that maybe, I could see this easily being turned around. Someone who thinks how horrible this is. Say you had someone from a minority who can't change the way they look, but they can change the way they act. And so they decide to act more like the majority. They stop acting like what their culture is because they want to fit in, because they don't want to be mocked. And they change fundamentally who they are. That's what this story is. And it's interesting to me that's being told by these people, by these writers, these actors, not necessarily Jerry Ryan, but I don't know Jerry Ryan's politics, but this machine within Trek that is just all about progressivism and how horrible it is to vote for anyone who has an R next to their name. I mean, I know that in before lore gets triggered, says Veclorg. I'm too tired to be triggered. And again, that's looking really deep. That's going way in there, right? But it just struck me, and I'd be curious your guys' opinions. Laura Reloaded, hey man, long time since I was able to log into a live stream. What have I missed? Dahak, you've missed everything. You can't miss any other live stream. It's going to be annoying to put the backstory of this show together. I heard you're going to have to read 3 comics and a novel in order to get it. Justice Ag, you heard wrong. That is absolutely ridiculous. That is one of the silliest things I've ever seen. Comic books coming out before a show goes, or stories coming out before, or books coming out before a show goes live or a movie goes live, has happened since the 1980s. So either people don't know their history or they just don't know how capitalism works. It will enhance your understanding. It'll have tie-ins and things like that, but you don't have to read it. That's the most ridiculous. That's as plausible as the 25% licensing. 7 is different compared to people like Picard. Picard could become mostly removed from the Borg. 7 can't. And even the evolved humans can feel hate. Look at Disco to Picard during the pilot. Look at Discovery to Picard. Cisco to Picard during the pilot. Yeah, but that's not what we were told the Federation is overall. And again, you're telling me that a person has to change in the minority because the majority doesn't like them to fit in a utopia. Okay. Why the constant hate for Alex Kurtzman, says RGD? Did I at any point attack Kurtzman? Can you give me the timestamp? Laura, I know about progressiveness. In the new Star Wars film, Rey apparently raises an almost intact Death Star despite blowing up in Return of the Jedi. In the new Star Wars film, Rey apparently raises an almost intact Death Star? Okay, that's going to be interesting. It does seem 7 has reclaimed much of your humanity. Sure. The Federation has assimilated more races to the culture with a Picard speech or a handshake than the Borg has with nano-assimilation. Well, I'd agree with that, the Immortal Super Being, I think. Don't forget, people, hit that like. Yeah, you got to hit that. Rock Solid Productions is own it. Hit that like button. I do wonder what, if any, new races they'll introduce in Picard. They're having a lot more Borg-like, or not Borg, but android-like races. There's been at least 2 scenes where it looks like we have the Klingons of Discovery there too. I hope not, but that's what it looks like. Hopefully not. I think you meant her Star Destroyer. Or you meant Star Destroyer, Alan. Okay. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Was there something that released a trailer where she raises a Star Destroyer? That's not been unknown. It's happened in games. Don't hit it if you have... What? I'll wait for your weird. No, you're not. Actually, that's a great thing. Y'all should listen. I'll wait for. So what do you guys think? I just find that interesting. I find that intriguing, and I find the subtext of what they're saying here to be as anti-progressive as you can get. Yeah, but the books aren't supposed to be canon. Justin Ag, I'm curious if they're changing that. You know, they have the ability. The IP holder has the option to make things canon or not. The animated series went in and out of canon for a long time. Roddenberry would pick and choose what he wanted to be canon out a long time. So saying things aren't canon and then changing your mind in Star Trek specifically isn't something new at all. So the fact that they're doing that doesn't surprise me. I don't care necessarily if the books are canon or not. I would have issues if they tried to make previous ones. I'm intrigued to see what Hugh does in the show. I'm excited to see how he acts in Star Trek Online. Hugh leads a group of freed Borg in the Delta Quadrant. He could still be doing that. I think we're going to see Star Trek Online and Picard have a lot of team-ups. No, so there's no image. Rumor is that Rey was originally supposed to raise the Death Star 2 from the sands of Jakku. It was abandoned in The Force Awakens, but maybe reintegrated in Episode 9. I hope they don't do that. I sincerely hope they do not do that. But, you know, guys, it's just, I don't know. I think that that's an interesting breakdown when it comes to what they're doing with Jerry Ryan and where they may go with 7 of 9. It'll also be intriguing if we see... it might be interesting if we see the hatred or the way she's treated. You know? It may be an interesting step for them to go. Justice Sag talking about books being canon, it's still confusing. Oh, I agree it's completely confusing. Star Trek is confusing. Star Trek changes stuff all the time. One of the books did say human Klingon hybrids were impossible, but TNG proved that wrong. Sure. Well, that book was not canon, I'm sure. Discovery proved that wrong, too. Laura, has Cat Walsey come out of the closet yet, or bathroom, or whatever he was hiding in? Well, it's hard to do that when the house he was in is ash now. I think 7's story will be redemption. I really think you mean an ISD. Y'all are having a big, huge fight about this, Ray. Redemption for what? What exactly is 7 trying to redeem herself for? For what she did as a Borg? I mean, wasn't that kind of what the story arc for her in Voyager was? They had multiple episodes where they talked about what she did as a drone. She couldn't actually help that. I feel like I've read I haven't read all of it for sure. I think I've read a little bit of it because it's come up before. Girls, share. Do you think that since they will probably incorporate Star Trek Online story elements into the show, that we will get an Iconian War story, or is that a little too high budget for them? I think they have a lot to do, and I think maybe in Season 2 or Season 3 they'd go into that. I don't think they'd start it out now. They could try to make it... they could try to tie it in at the moment and make the Iconian War like she could be Iconian, or she could be somehow connected to an Iconian Borg or something, but I don't think they'll do that. The Federation is great and all, but humanity duality is one thing unchanged from what the Vulcans fears most. It's like my favorite Quark quote, where humans are uncomfortable long enough. Yeah, DS9 did a good job of more humanizing them. Historically, they were supposed to be above the fold. Alexander Hagen, I think I said this, but thank you so much. I appreciate the support. It's through support, through viewers and Patreon supports and super chats and people like you. So thank you so much. Borg hate equal great for lore, but bad for the Federation. I don't even think it's all that good for lore. It just, for me, doesn't make the most sense. It doesn't seem consistent. You know? So I don't know about that, honestly. They're playing, the girls are playing on the computer. They really weren't that bad. I'm just reminding them before it gets up. An Iconian war would be awesome to see in a Star Trek show. I agree. It'd be pretty cool. So yeah, guys, I'd be curious. Do you guys think the subtext here is something worthy of mention or to discuss, or is it more just being hypersensitive because of what they did with Discovery? That's the problem that I feel that I'm getting into, and I think a lot of people are getting into, is that the Discovery was bad in so many different ways, and not even talking about, not even looking at necessarily the writing or the story or the plot line. They did a lot to push people away, to make people not like the show, to make people feel like what they believed was wrong, and to really just piss people off. And so Picard hasn't done that, and yet I feel like me and others are trying to hold it to that standard because of what happened with Discovery. The Picard cast hasn't done anything that the Discovery cast. What? Do I have a cold?
No. Do you know the code?
The code to the iPad? Yeah. Yes, I do. Come here and I'll give it to you. Yeah, or your sister can do it. Until we see more, I think we need to take everything with a pinch of salt. Objectives and reasoning for things might not factor into the story. Those are character beats. I'm going to wait. Character beats are characters tell you more about the story than the story ever could. Characters are the story. You can have a wonderful, great, just epic story, all because of one character. When Star Wars came out with Luke Skywalker, that was a story that was told all the time. That wasn't anything new. That wasn't anything fantastic. That wasn't anything great. It was the hero's journey beat for beat. And yet it was excellently done because people can identify with Luke. You had a character who felt human, who had flaws, who had a quality that had turned negative. And he had a weakness. And the Expanse, for those who like the Expanse, those characters are deeply flawed. But the Expanse, when it comes to a story about... Here you go.
Yeah, I just dropped it.
You dropped this?
Yeah.
That's not good.
Dad, you scared me.
How did I scare you to make you drop it? You were downstairs.
Yeah.
It's not my fault. Right?
Fine.
Okay, don't drop it, baby. Okay?
Okay.
Be careful. Hold it with both hands right now.
Why?
So you don't drop it.
Yeah.
Be very careful. What is my opinion on Picard's new crew? I don't really know a lot about Picard's new crew, to the fact that I just call them different. I call them names from other shows. So you have like Legolas and Kaylee from Firefly. So I don't know anything to them. Discovery really represented a FU where Roddenberry had his agenda. He wove them in subtle enough without flinging in the eyes of the status quo. Discovery rammed it down people's throat. Rock solid. I agree with how Trek has been done previously. I disagree with who did it. Gene was all about throwing it in your face, just in different ways. It was more the execs that held him back. But historically, I agree. On a different topic, would you please consider doing one of your legal case breakdowns in the TOS episode Court Martial? Yeah, I mean, I'll do that. I'll put it in the hopper. Season 2 was good, better than Season 1, at least in my opinion. Well, that's true. I mean, if someone walks into my house and shoots me in the arm, and then the next week comes in and hits me with a bat in the arm, the other arm, one is better the other. One is better than the other, but they're still, in my opinion, pretty bad experiences. Discovery 2 was significantly better than Season 2 was significantly better than Season 1. And I think Season 2 for Discovery was a massive improvement. Picard and no Enterprise is going to be hard to swallow for me. Well, Picard and no Enterprise. Picard likely not in charge of the ship. And he... I think he's going to be more a side character of the ship. So he's going to be a part of the crew. Jeff, I'm sorry if I've annoyed you. No, you haven't annoyed me, buddy. Sorry that you feel like you've annoyed me. All good. I'm good, brother. The second... I just said that. Second season was better than the first. It was better for Discovery, for sure. I still feel like it missed the mark when it comes to Trek. My fear is they will Skywalker Picard. You can't have a strong man because strong men equal bad. Strong white men equal badder. Strong white old men equal evil. I don't feel like they'll do that. It doesn't seem like it. I guess we'll have to see. It's more like people fear the Borg, not that it's about a race. No matter how enlightened you are, fear is still a primal instinct. That's just not how it's been brought up historically to Hawk 86. I'm sorry that... What frustrates me, and it's not you necessarily, but people keep trying to put a 21st century spin on what is not 21st century. This is just fact. The Federation and humans are completely and utterly different. They are alien to what we are now. Even Deep Space Nine, while Deep Space Nine definitively humanized the portrayal of humans and such, they still act and go in a different way. They accept everyone who is not hostile. They just do. Until... and again, you'll have one-offs. You'll have one-offs and inconsistencies here and there. But generally, they accept everyone. They just do. And that is until Picard. Unless they did something in Discovery that I'm unaware of. Or that I forget. And that's not on you, Dahaka. That is just the way that they... I'm not saying that it necessarily makes it it's a good idea, or it's a great trait, or it makes sense. So here's what someone said. I don't think this is what they're going to do, but here's what someone said. So the young woman in the trailer is actually Picard's daughter through some gobbledygook or something. And so she is Picard's daughter. So she's a Picard. So Star Trek Picard, it's actually a bait and switch. It's going to be about her because she's a Picard. Oh, man. How deceptive. How deceptive would that be? Very frustrating. You know, I mean, I'll think about it, but it seems like to me, they've had Borg before. I know there have been instances where you have like Sisko, who was not a fan of Picard at the beginning, though at the end he seemed fine with him. I think that was done. I wish they had done that a little bit better. And then you have a simulated Borg there, so they can be afraid of the Borg, but recognize that she is not Borg. It's not. It just seems inconsistent with the way they have. Yeah, the one you don't see, I agree. Humans will always be really good when it's good, and always good at being bad when humans need to be bad. And the reason is in Deep Space Nine, again, where they humanized the humans, the Terrans, so much more. Even them, they were always accepting, even of things that they stood against. My video, Tolerating the Intolerant. The Federation was more than happy to be peaceful with the Dominion and start up friendship and trade. And look at the Dominion. So, you know, it can be a shift after all of this. So another argument I think maybe you could make. Hold on, let me finish this and then you can come, okay? Another argument I think you could make was Perhaps no. Come here, babe. I want you to see him. Just stay right there for just a second, okay?
Okay, I'll show them Mickey.
In a second. Is that the argument you can make is that after all these wars and after what the Borg did, it changed the Federation fundamentally, changed the culture. But I still think Gene Roddenberry wouldn't like that. I don't know how I feel about it. All right, come here, babe. Thank you for letting me finish my thought.
This is my first toy, Mickey.
See right there. Turn
My
right here.
very first toy, Mickey.
Oh.
Do you like Mickey?
Yeah, they got her when you were still in your mom's belly.
Yeah. Do you like Mickey?
I'm sure they do. It'll take them a second.
You don't want to see their replies.
I'm sure they will say that they like it. I'll give it a second, but while we're doing that, you can say hi to the people.
I'm staying here until we
Yeah, unfortunately, there's like a 30-second or something crazy like that delay. So they're saying hi, little Lore. They're also saying, wait for the thing to refresh. Whoa, you okay?
Yeah.
You almost fell.
Yeah, in the box.
The Mickey overload is what they said. Yeah.
I actually have
The Mickey overlord. I'm sorry, man. I'm
I
sorry.
actually have a cat named Mickey and a cat named Pumpkin.
You do. That cat's gray and orange.
I can get him up here.
No, don't do that, babe. They won't like that. All right, go play. I'll let you know what they say.
Okay, bye.
They like the Mickey. They said he's cute. What's going on, Sirstus? I'm a Disney junkie. Up is my fiance's. Hey, you've watched Up, haven't you? Yep. So someone liked Up. Yosef says they like the Mickey and everything he bought, apparently. The human trait to be what we need to be is what the Borg have always wanted but could never get. I don't know. The need for ambition, I guess. Sir says, I'm late. I was watching last night's Borg Talk. I want to have the USS Mickey. We could make one. Call it the USS Mickey. All right, guys. I think we are going to end it right here. I'm a little tired. I got to clean up stuff, and then I got a meeting with my professor in 2 hours. So, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Hopefully, I'll do one more for today since this one was less. I guess we'll see. But anyway, I will see you guys on the next one. Oh, hey, Lori. Someone donated, and they said that was adorable. That Mickey was adorable. Yay! She said, thank you for being nice. Thank you for being nice. Oh my God, I'm so tired.